don't have a lot of time before the ambassadors arrive. I'm going to present to you very briefly a PowerPoint presentation which I didn't make myself. It was made by Leo Williams, who is the coordinator of the Beyond 2015 campaign. So I can take no credit, neither blame for what's on here. And I'll go through it very quickly because most of the stuff that you will find in this presentation has already been discussed yesterday, presented by the speakers from the UN, etc. So we can very quickly skip over it. I want to point out that Beyond 2015 is a very rapidly growing alliance of civil society organizations that care about the post-2015 agenda. One of the things that they have created is, of course, this website, and I really recommend to all of you that you surf to it and have a look at it, because there's quite an interesting number of information to be had there. The address is www.beyond2015.org, so that should be fairly easy to remember. Amongst others, they have, for instance, the section on the must-haves, but also resources. And in the resources you will find, amongst others, civil society position papers that have been prepared by various actors. And I think we have the laudable distinction of being the very first civil society organization that actually posted something on that Beyond 2015 website. My role in this particular let's say, connection with the Beyond 2015 campaign is I'm kind of the primary contact person, the filter between, if you like, the partnership of World Vision and Beyond 2015 and its membership, which means I receive a lot of emails. What I don't want to be doing is to simply forward these emails to an ever-growing list of World Vision recipients. So anyone who wants to follow the Beyond 2015, they have Google groups, they have a distribution list. Simply make sure that you are added to the distribution list, because I'm not going to forward stuff all the time. That's not my job, and I don't want to do that. What I do see as my role is Beyond 2015 sometimes comes to us with specific requests, like, can you, World Vision, take the lead on a particular issue? Or can you, World Vision, commit some resources, human resources, technical resources, financial resources, to a specific activity that we want to do? Now that, I think, is quite important. We haven't quite figured out to what extent I'm mandated to say yes or no to these things, but that's definitely something that I'm working on with people like Charles, but also with others in the partnership. That's how I see my role. Why me? Because, well, simply because Beyond 2015 has a secretariat which happens to be based in Brussels, and since we have a global capitals in Brussels, it was not so difficult. Also, Beyond 2015 secretariat is hosted by Concord, which is the European Confederation of Development and Relief NGOs. Concord has also a board, and I'm a member of that board, so I have kind of a leverage over what happens in the Beyond 2015 campaign to a certain extent, by virtue of the fact that you know, I kind of get to call the shots within Concord on certain issues. Now, if you look a little bit at the history Beyond 2015, when it was created, there were two clear aims. The aims was to create a global, overarching, cross-thematic framework for development after 2015 by the civil society organizations that were members of Beyond 2015. And the second aim, that the process of developing this framework would be participatory, inclusive, and responses to voices of those directly affected by poverty and injustice. On basis of those two aims, I think there is nothing that would prevent us from saying, yes, we sign up to that. And that is actually the message that I was allowed to give them about, I would say, 8 or 9 months ago, when we were formally signed up as World Vision International to this growing alliance. When it started, it was just 5 CSOs in 3 countries, mostly in Europe, in October 2010. By now, in May this year, it had grown to 315 civil society organizations from 74 countries. So it is really becoming a very large global alliance. It has also, of course, because as it grows, it created also kinds of structures, governance structures, working structures. So now they have an executive committee. We have been invited to be part of that. We have declined at that time because it felt like it was going to require an enormous amount of human resource time, and we felt that at that time we didn't want to invest that kind of commitment to that alliance. If we would still give the same answer today, I don't know, but at least at that time I was mandated to say no to that request. There are 6 civil society organizations from the north and 6 from the south that are serving on that executive committee. There's also a lot of working groups. We are active in some of them and in task forces that are influencing the strategy. And one of the key products that came out of that was these essential must-haves. They also gave, Beyond 2015 gave practical recommendations to the United Nations, including recommendations on the terms of reference for the high-level panel, very topical today. We also were allowed, we were asked and invited by the UN to make nominations of civil society representatives to the high-level panel, and I'll come back to that in a minute. We developed recommendations on the relationship between the Sustainable Development Goals and post-2015, and developed criteria and guiding principles for the work. Now, this I'm going to skip because this is all information that already was given to you yesterday about the UN process, about the country consultations, about the thematic consultation. I'm very happy to share the presentation with the group here, but it would be a waste of our time to go through that since we've already done it yesterday, and about a global conversation. I want to stop shortly at the high-level panel. So as we all know, the 3 co-chairs have been nominated, David Cameron, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, the president of Indonesia. Today, the panel will be further appointed. The people that have been nominated by the Beyond 2015, after a process of consulting all the members and giving them a list of something like 75 different options, 4 people. Kumi Naido, which many of you know as a former leader of the GCAP campaign. Justin Kilcullen, who is an Irish NGO CEO of Trócaire, the Catholic development organization in Ireland. And Justin is also the past president of Concord. So for the past 6 years he served as president. He's a very gifted speaker. Eliana, you have met him and you've listened to him in Brussels. Graça Machel has been nominated from this civil society consultation. She is, of course, the widow of Samora Machel, the former president of Mozambique, and she's now the current wife of Nelson Mandela. Leima Gobowe, sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing that name, and Roberto Bischo, who are leading civil society actors in Africa, respectively Latin America. Now, whether 1 or 2 or 3 of these people will actually be nominated, or whether the UN will come up with somebody completely different, that is, of course, what will be revealed today. The Beyond 2015 campaign further works on the themes and the content that it wants to focus on is, of course, on this whole UN thematic consultations, on the theme of the Sustainable Development Goals, well, and the Millennium Consumption Goals and the other issues that you can see here. I think the strengths of or the influence that we as civil society organizations can exercise and leverage on this whole process is by the strength of forming coalitions. We are able to provide input to the United Nations national consultations and to the thematic consultations. Our big challenge will be how will we influence this high-level panel. Obviously, the open access point would be the civil society representatives on that panel, whoever they may be. So and I want to close my short presentation with the dilemma and the challenge that the Beyond 2015 Executive Committee sort of is struggling with all the time, and which is also very relevant for us as World Vision, I think. And that is the question, and this is something that I also want to talk to Amy about, what her thinking is about this. How can those whose advocacy is centered on ensuring the inclusion of a very specific set of issues, examples, child protection, very relevant for us, sexual and what's it, SRHR, sexual reproductive and health rights, or any other issue. How can we avoid to unwittingly pushing us towards an all things to all people scenario, which would result in a list of issues in the post-2015 framework that will be so long that it prompts very little real change. That's my short presentation of the Beyond 2015 campaign. As I said, my role for the partnership is to be the primary contact person. As we move along, I think that will take more and more of my time. I'm happy to do that. I invite you all to use me, if not abuse me, in that role. And I will keep forwarding to you the information that is relevant from the 2015 campaign. They are also knocking on my door consistently with requests for instance, financial support for certain activities, etc. As I said, we still have to figure out what resources we would have available for that. Yeah. And any issue that you would like to see brought to the Beyond 2015 campaign, or any input that you can provide, please feel free to share with me, and I will find a way to get it into the hearts and the minds of the people in that campaign. And I would love to answer any questions you may still have on this. Thank you.
If I may just add, one of the Beyond 2015 here in New York has a UN working group. If I may just add that the Beyond 2015 has a working group here in the UN, and that group is co-chaired by Save the Children and GCAP, and that's how they are organized. They have UN working groups for different issues and themes, and they also have task forces which are like time bound. But the UN working group here has started to get active. They have been the ones who have drafted most of the letters that have been addressed to the Secretary General, that have been responded by the Office of the Secretary General. And and we have started to participate in that working group, and in coordination with Marius. In the information package that you received at the hotel, there is we included the influencing strategy that they are working on, that is now being reviewed. There is an evaluation of that strategy, and hopefully the results of that evaluation will also be a useful resource for us to input into to take into account into our own strategy.
Remarks, comments?
Thank you very much, Marius, for that overview. My question is, when you look at the UN, it seems like they cannot get their act together on the consequences. So my question is, what's your sense about Beyond 2015 and their ability to connect at country level with coalitions for the country consultations? That's my first question. The second question is, there was a group that was formed for moving ahead with the agenda of children and youth participation. It faded away. Lately, the executive team appointed again 2 co-chairs, and it's not moving. So what's your sense on how this small group is working as well? So those 2 issues, please. Thank you.
With regard to your first question, Corina, I think that's an excellent question to ask to Amy this afternoon or this morning when we speak to her, when she has time to do that. With regard to the second question on the, let's say, the group that drives forward the child and youth participation, yes, you're absolutely right, and that's something that I also want to do something about. So maybe we can connect during the today and before I leave, so we can strategize among us how we can put some more life in it. Maybe we should even take the leadership of that, or vie for the leadership, or be ambitious enough to have the leadership of that group to make sure it keeps moving ahead. Because I'm sure the willingness is there, but the one weakness in the Beyond 2015 coordination team, if you like, is there was a coordinator, Leo Williams, who is now temporarily on the sabbatical. And he's been replaced, and I think somewhere in the changeover from Leo to Bernadette, who's now the interim coordinator, that might have had something to do with the lack of progress that you have noted. But I will definitely take that message with me, and I would like to work with you to make sure that we get it moving again.
Quickly ask this question. But I'm not expecting us to make a decision here, but I think given kind of the reprioritization of this enhanced or post-Millennium Development Goal work, it's worth reconsidering being a part of the executive committee of Beyond 2015. And obviously, I can't speak for your time, Marius, but figuring out how that can be staffed would certainly be something I'd be happy to support. And I'd be curious what your perspective is, given you've been closest to it. Obviously there's pros and cons, but it seems like it's the largest, maybe most effective coalition that's influencing this agenda. And given our size and the way we're trying to prioritize this, it makes sense to me.
Yes, I'm willing to definitely willing to put that on the table. At the, it's not my decision to take, first of all. But mind you, once you're on the executive committee, you're also expected to commit quite a lot of resources, not only your own time resources, but also financial resources. And maybe that is, so if we want to take the leadership role, we also should take a leadership role in let's say, funding some of the activities. And that is something that I see as a challenge.
Can you clarify, Marius, is that, I assume the executive committee has a fixed term?
Yeah. This executive committee has been nominated for 1 year, so presumably they will be eligible to be renominated. But I think their lifespan is 1 year, and then it's up for. So yeah, we would have an opportunity again.
Marius, can you speak to the? Has the coalition itself wrestled with some of the same issues that I'm sure they have, yesterday that we were talking about? For example, their position on a post-2015 framework. Are they advocating for an enhanced MDG framework, a very ambitious new framework? Do you have a sense of have they, as a coalition, come to consensus on those kind of issues?
I think the jury is still out on that one. But my sense is that they're going in the same direction as we are saying. Let's not throw away the MDGs, but let's understand where they came from and what's good about them, but let's try to make them better. Yeah? But the real serious issue that they're struggling with is, of course, this merging of SDGs with MDGs, and that's, as I said, that's why the jury is still out on that one.
Okay.
Thank you, Marius. One other thing to clarify, in case you were confused by it, Marius noted the people that have been nominated by Beyond 2015 for the high-level panel. And we said yesterday that Kevin had been nominated by the Berlin Civil Society Center, which is a different NGO CSO coalition. So in case you were wondering about that, those are two different processes. I think it's fair to say that the Beyond 2015 process was more comprehensive in its scope, and as you noted, there were some direct requests there from the Secretary General for that nomination. I'm not sure if that was the case with the Berlin Center as well. We'll see. In the end, we'll see what happens today with those nominations. But that, in case you were wondering about that gap. Okay. Well, obviously, we'll hear more about Beyond 2015 shortly, later on this morning. So hopefully, you'll have more questions and comments about that at that point.
Thanks, Marius.